hospital ship Samaritan Dawn floated in quiet space. Its hull was white. Its windows were soft with warm light. Inside, the air was clean and calm. Nurses rolled carts. Doctors checked screens. The ship's badge, a red cross in a circle, shone on every door. A distress call came in. It was weak and broken, like a voice through rain. Freighter. Life support failing. Medbay needed. Coordinates attached. The bridge crew looked at each other. The chief medic, an older woman with steady hands, nodded once. She believed in the relief accords. Healers helped, always. The captain gave the order, plot a jump. We go. They jumped. When real space returned, the stars looked wrong. They were dim, like someone had turned them down. Dust clouds hung like smoke. The freighter should have been here. It was not. The navigator frowned. No heat trace. No hull echo. The comms tech tried to answer the distress call. The line hissed. It was like talking to a dead sea. The chief medic watched the view. Her hands folded. Hold position. Flash medical beacon. We announce who we are. The beacon went out. A soft pulse in all bands. It said, we are medics. We bring aid. We do not fight. Do not harm us. Silence. Then new lights blinked in the dark. Not one ship, many. They unfolded like knives popping free. Their hulls were black and sharp. Their engines burned blue and cold. The comms tech stared. Unknown marks, no IDs. They are masking their signatures. The captain opened the all channel. His voice was clear and slow. This is the hospital ship Samaritan Dawn. We are neutral. We are protected by the relief accords. Medics on board. Do not, his voice cut. Static filled the bridge, thick like sand. Jammers bit across every band. Screens fuzzed. The ship's low chime turned into a hard alarm. Red light washed the corridors. Nurses froze. A young nurse, short hair, quick eyes, grabbed a bandage cart before it rolled away. Her name tag read Anna. She looked at the wall where the oath plaque hung. First, do no harm. Her breath was fast, but her hands were steady. The first shot struck the hull. The sound was a deep bell, metal crying under force. The second shot followed. Then a third. The ship shook. Ceiling panels trembled. In the medbay, trays rattled. A glass ampule tipped and broke like ice. On the bridge, the captain kept his voice calm. Raise the med shield. Non-violent protocols only. The ship had only defensive fields and emergency thrusters. No guns, it did not need them. That was the promise of the accords. Everyone respected medics. Everyone until now. The attackers spread into a ring around the Samaritan Dawn. They fired again, careful and cruel. They aimed for engines. They aimed for the comm dish. They spared the reactor. They wanted the ship alive. Boarding clamps bit the hull. The chief medic opened shipwide. All hands, this is Dr. Lena. Remember the oath. We help all who do not harm. We do not pick up weapons. We mark our badges. We protect patients. We keep calm. Her voice did not shake. Anna, the nurse, was already moving. She pushed the bandage cart to a corner, bent low and pulled off a panel. Behind it sat a tiny beacon, not much bigger than a coin. Most staff did not even know it existed. She did. She slid it under gauze rolls, pressed a thumb to the surface, and whispered even though the device did not hear whispers. Send. The beacon woke. It did one thing. It sent one sentence in a tight, needle-thin beam, slipping around the jammers like a fish through rocks. It said, "They are killing medics." Across the void, far from the dark system, the sentence hit an old relay near a quiet mining outpost. It bounced. It kept bouncing, hop by hop, until it reached Earth. On Earth, a night shift traffic officer sipped cold tea and watched slow screens. The message appeared in a red box. He set down the cup. He checked the signature twice. His hands moved without his eyes leaving the words. He pulled a cord on the wall. Alarms lit in places he had never seen. In a room with no windows, a sealed file unlocked itself. Back on the Samaritan Dawn, the boarding doors blew in. Smoke rolled along the floor. Figures in matte armor stepped through, weapons up. They saw white coats. They saw red crosses. They did not slow down. Hands up, one shouted. On the floor. Doctors raised empty hands. Nurses knelt. A patient in a sling began to cry. Anna stepped between the patient and the gun. Her badge was bright on her chest. The armored man looked at it. The gun did not lower. The first medic fell. A stun charge hit him and he crumpled like cloth. Another was shoved face first into a wall. A third was kicked when he tried to speak. In the trauma room, Dr. Lena faced a masked leader. "We are healers. You know the law." The leader tilted his head, amused. His voice came through a filter, cold and thin. "Laws are for people who fear wolves." He waved a hand. "Take the surgeons. Tag the rest." One raider, young, eyes shaky, looked at a child on a stretcher. The child had green skin and gills. An alien refugee. The raider's gun wavered. Dr. Lena turned her body to cover the child, soft and firm at once. "We will treat you if you are hurt," she said. "Even now." The leader laughed. "Listen to her. She thinks mercy is a shield." He lifted his weapon at Dr. Lena's chest. Anna's beacon pulsed again. One more thread. One more echo. The tiny device grew hot in the bandage roll. It had done its work. It began to melt. Far away on Earth, doors opened that only open when a line is crossed. People woke to sharp tones. A short list lit up on a dark wall, a list with a warning carved under it. The warning said, "Do not hunt healers." Old heavy seals broke with a click. Back in the med bay, the leader's finger tightened. Dr. Lena did not step back. Her eyes were sad and tired and resolute. She had patched pirates before. She had held hands of killers and farmers alike. She had never once asked who deserved care. She thought of the plaque. She thought of the oath. Another deep impact rang through the hull. The ship groaned. A ceiling light shattered. The room flashed white, then red. The raiders staggered. "Move!" the leader shouted. Anna grabbed the child's gurney and pushed. A nurse opened a side door. Smoke curled. Boots pounded. In the corridor, 2 armored raiders blocked the way. They raised rifles. Anna could only push and hope. Then the ship's emergency doors slammed down, triggered by a fire sensor. The doors cut the corridor into sections. The raiders on the other side beat on metal. For 3 seconds, there was stillness. Dr. Lena's voice returned on the speaker. Softer now. "Hear me. Help who you can. Hide who you must. The oath stands." The leader lifted his weapon again. In Earth's dark room, a gloved hand pressed a single button. Somewhere in space, something old and quiet woke up and turned its face toward the stars. On the Samaritan dawn, explosive bolts screamed. A door burst inward and the medbay filled with light and sound and smoke, and the beacon went silent. The message from the beacon reached Earth and would not stop echoing. It lit red lines on old walls. It unlocked a door that had not opened for many years. Inside was a small room with no windows and one black table. On the table lay a box with a silver seal. The seal showed a red patch and a broken chain. 3 people entered. A general, a minister, a quiet woman in plain clothes with a scar on her chin. She carried no rank pins. She did not need them. They stood in silence as the recording from the Samaritan dawn played again. Static, shouting, the soft voice of Dr. Lena. A crash, then nothing. The general looked at the woman. "Do we unseal?" The woman did not answer fast. She watched the empty end of the recording as if it might change. It did not. At last she nodded once. "Open it." The general broke the seal. Cold air moved. The box breathed out a line of text on the wall, big and simple. Oath read. A low chime rolled through the deep networks of Earth, then through the networks of all human aid fleets. Old protocols woke. Quiet ships turned their heads. Supply depots locked one set of doors and unlocked another. The minister spoke, voice tired. "We swore never to start war." The woman with the scar answered, "We do not start war. We end a hunt." She placed her palm on the table. "Send the call." Far from the room, in a base under a frozen sea, a long hall lit up one light at a time. On both walls hung framed patches. Under each patch were names. Some frames were full, some waited. At the end of the hall, a door opened on a clean bay. Inside, people rose from bunks. They did not shout. They did not cheer. They moved with the quiet force of a tide. They pulled on armor that did not shine. They checked kits that held more tourniquets than bullets. They spoke to each other like family that had lived through one hard winter and expected another. They were the Hippocratic Wolves. Their symbol was the red patch with a broken chain. Their oath was simple: we heal first. We hunt only those who hunt healers. They were the promise inside the relief accords. They were the reason most pirates never touched a ship with a cross. The Wolves' commander was a tall man with calm eyes. People called him Gray. He did not raise his voice. He did not need to. Gray walked the line, checked gloves, checked injectors, checked the small scissors on each armor sleeve. He stopped at a new recruit, small, steady hands, hair tied back. Her name tag read Mara. She looked young, but her eyes held the weight of many night shifts. Gray tapped the scissors. "Why do we carry these?" Mara answered at once. "To cut clothing fast. To find a wound fast. To stop bleeding fast." Gray nodded. "Good. And this?" He touched the small metal tag on her chest plate. "The oath," she said. "We show it before we shoot. We show it after." Gray's eyes held hers. "We do not miss. We do not rage. We do not forget who we are." He moved on. In the briefing room, a map of dark space spun under cold light. Dotted lines marked pirate lanes, smuggler holes, dead systems. A coded chain of attacks appeared in red. Medical ships hit. Clinics robbed. Refugee barges stripped of their med kits. The pattern had a shape. The shape pointed to a mind. An analyst with a soft voice said one name. The archivist. The minister had said the name in the windowless room as well. The word tasted like rust. The archivist was not a pirate captain with loud songs and gold teeth. He was worse. He collected broken treaties like trophies. He bought old laws and sold exceptions to those with money and no soul. He believed mercy was weakness and rules were cages for fools. He wore white gloves so blood would show. Gray studied the map. He likes clean floors. No scorched hulls. No wreckage. He removes the mess. He thinks that makes him safe. The analyst nodded. He runs fleets through proxies. He uses fake distress calls. He takes surgeons. He sells them. He uses medics for experiments. He hides the bodies. A silence fell. The wolves did not swear. They did not speak the kind of words that burn out and leave nothing. Instead, they sharpened their simple words like knives. Gray broke the quiet. What proof? The analyst slid a shard onto the table. It was the shard taken from the Raider flagship in Part 1's Chaos, recovered by a remote cradle drone that escaped just before the beacon died. On the shard sat small, neat orders. They had timestamps. They had ship marks. They had a thin line at the bottom like a grin. Amara leaned closer. She recognized the layout from Med Network bulletins that warned of black market traffic. He signs with a letter. Like a librarian, another wolf said. Like he is filing crimes in order. Gray looked at the old woman with the scar. She had come to the bay without escort. She stood at the back, hands behind her. He did not salute. She did not ask him to. They both had been in rooms like this too many times. We have rules, Gray said. She nodded. The same rules. He raised a hand. A list lit the wall. Wolf Row. Oath read 1. Speak the oath on open channel before first strike. Do not fire on marked med hulls, even if enemy hides behind them. Stun when possible. Surrender gets care. If a target threatens a healer now or in the next hour, stop that threat now. Record everything. Trials need truth. If you must break a rule to save a medic, own it, say it, sign it. Gray looked at his people. We do not teach fear. We teach memory. Pirates remember what happens when they touch a medic. Make sure they remember again. He pointed at the map. We start with the supply spine. Cut fuel, cut air. No big fires, no crowds. Quiet and fast, he pointed again. Then we lift the stolen medics. We do not go home until we find everyone that breathes. He let out a slow breath. And then the man who thinks he is safe. Another light came on. It showed a place with no sun. Only a failed star. Wrecks drifted like dead leaves in a black pond. In the middle was a station without a name, turning once every 12 minutes like a slow clock. His counting house, the analyst said. He keeps his records there. He keeps his tools there. He believes no one will break a rule to reach him. Gray's mouth bent, not quite a smile. We are not breaking rules. We are keeping them. The old woman with the scar stepped forward. She spoke for the first time in the room. Her voice was low, but it carried. Say it, she told Gray. He nodded and pressed the all channel. All ships heard him. All clinics. All pirate radios too, because the wolves wanted them to hear. This is Wolf Command, Gray said. We are human medics under the oath. We heal all who lay down arms. We do not strike first. We do strike last. If you hunt healers, we hunt you. Stand down and live. Touch a medic and you will not. He cut the channel. The wolves moved. Dropships rolled like pills from white racks. Engines woke with soft hums. Armor sealed. Helmets clicked. Kits snapped shut. 100 small acts, clean and exact. Mara's hands shook once. She pressed her fingers to the red patch and the broken chain. The simple cloth was warm from her body. She remembered the first time she worked a crash, the way a life can change from red to pink to warm in 1 minute if a hand is steady. Gray stopped beside her as they walked. First time on Oath Red? Yes. Remember, he said. We do not go to kill. We go to stop killing. We go to bring people home, she nodded. And the archivist? Gray's eyes were tired and kind. He thinks fear owns the galaxy. He forgot what fear does when it belongs to the right people. Who are the right people? She asked. He looked at the patch on her chest. Us. The bay doors opened like a quiet mouth. The stars waited, cold and bright. Across the map, in a clean room somewhere dark, the archivist poured tea into a thin cup. His gloves were white. His desk had no dust. He watched a screen that showed the Samaritan dawn from a stolen med drone's eye. He paused the video at the moment the beacon died. He touched the glass with one finger, as if touching the last breath of a song. He did not see the wolves yet. He would. In the wolves' command ship, alarms glowed green for go. A long line of dropships slid into the night like needles drawing a straight stitch. The engines made no roar. The comms made no chatter. Only one word moved from ship to ship, quiet as a promise. Oath. The map changed. Paths lit up. Pirate hubs blinked like targets on a heart monitor. The first strike codes went out. A countdown clock appeared on the wall. 12 minutes, 11, 10. Gray lifted his hand. Begin. Cliffhanger. In the Dead Star system, a silent station turns. Inside one door is marked Archive, Medical. On the other side of that door, something alive taps twice, then stops. The wolves did not rush. They moved like surgeons who knew the cut had to be exact. Their first stop was a place called Spindle Key. It looked like a junkyard that drifted in slow circles around a pale rock. Old hulls hung on cables. Dented drones floated like dead fish. It smelled of cold metal and old oil. Inside the main bay, the floor shone. Mara saw it at once. No soot, no stains. Even the drains were clean. Gray knelt and touched a drain with one finger. He smelled bleach. He stood without a word. They found a clinic room with beds but no sheets. No blood, no trash. On the wall, a square patch of paint was a shade lighter. Something had hung there once, a sign, a rule, a promise. The screws were back in the holes. Tight. Neat. Mara's throat felt tight. He cleans, she said. Gray nodded. He hates mess. He hates proof. A locked door led to a freezer. Inside, no bodies. Just empty trays and a small leaf of paper caught under the lip of a shelf, as if it had fallen and the cleaner missed it. Mara slid it free with a gloved hand. On the paper was a list of numbers and one line in thin letters. Transfer complete. A. They took the paper. They took air samples. They took nothing else. Before they left, Mara set a new sign where the old one had been. It read, "Do not hunt healers." She fixed it to the wall with 4 screws and did not make them neat. The next stop was Chalk 5, a chalk-white moon with a cattle ring and a black market under it. An old alien with 3 hands sold inks for fake ship marks. He smiled too fast. He tried to sell Gray a new flag, a pirate flag with a red cross scratched out. Gray did not smile. "We want records," he said, placing clean medical tape on the counter. Humans knew how to bargain here. In the ring, tape was worth more than gold. The alien's 3 hands stopped. He looked at Gray's patch. He looked at Mara's scissors. He licked a cut on his lip and led them down a narrow stair to a door shaped like a casket. Inside, small data sticks lay in slots, neat as teeth. The alien whispered, "Hush, casket. If you take one, you must leave one. It keeps the balance." His eyes begged them not to break the rule. People were afraid of rules breaking now. Wolves made the air different. Gray put down a stick wrapped in foil. "A fair swap," he said. They took a stick marked with a tiny white dot in the corner. Back on the ship, the analyst read it out loud. Fuel logs, ice logs, crew transfers, and here, orders to clean 3 named clinics after raids. The money goes to a quiet account under a false charity. She paused. The account office is on a station called the Collect House. Mara looked at the map. The Collect House floated in a dark lane called the Hush Corridor. Few ships went there. Signals bent there. Pirates liked it. Aid ships avoided it. Gray's voice was calm. We will not avoid it. Before they moved, they stopped at one more place, a refugee clinic on a tin world with thin air. The clinic had a roof of patched metal and a long bench where children had once sat. Now the bench was smooth and clean. Too clean. A mop leaned in a corner like a soldier at attention. An old man in a green scarf watched from a doorway. He had the eyes of someone who had seen men with guns and men with syringes and learned to tell them apart by how they breathed. You came late, he said. No blame in his tone, only fact. We came, Gray said. The old man nodded. They took our nurse, the one with the songs. They cleaned her room. They cleaned the floor where she used to dance with the children. He pointed at a high place on the wall. They missed that. A small handprint high where a child had reached up for help showed as a faint patch under the light. Cleaners had scrubbed it, but some lines stayed. Mara swallowed. We will bring back who we can, she said. The old man looked at her scissors and then at her eyes. Bring back the ones who can sing. They left the clinic with their jaws set. In the command bay, the plan formed. The collect house would not be hit loud. It would be tricked. The archivist loved tricks. The wolves would give him one. They built a decoy aid ship from a spare hull. They named it Kindword. It wore bright medical marks and a big open-band beacon that said gently and clearly, "We heal." We carry no guns. We answer distress calls. Inside it was something else. The walls had hidden braces. The vents held harmless sleep gas that could drop a squad without harming a patient. The floors hid foam that climbed like vines and locked ankles. The doors were on timers. The comms were on lures. No bullets, no fire, only traps. Gray stood with the team in a dark hangar as the Kindword rolled out. No one rides inside, he said. It is remote only. If they board, we do not risk medics. We take them alive if we can. Mara checked her kit again. She added 2 extra tourniquets. She added a child-size mask. They launched into the hush corridor. Silence waited there like a living thing. The stars looked too far away. The long line of wreck markers along the lane were pale and still, like bones set in glass. The Kindword drifted at the lane's center, beacon bright. The wolves' ship hid in the cold shadow of a dead cargo hulk, dark as night. Time passed slow. Mara sat in her drop seat and felt the ship breathe. Gray stood without moving. The analyst watched a wall of numbers slide by like rain. The old woman with the scar leaned on the rail and said nothing. Then the pirates came. They did not jump in with a roar. They peeled out of shadow, thin and flat and black, like knives pulled from sleeves. 3 cut the front, 2 slid behind. A larger ship hung back, engines low like a spider that lets the flies work first. No IDs, the analyst said. They think that makes them ghosts. The front ships hailed the Kindword on a false med channel. A soft voice, practiced gentle, said, Aid ship, we are hurt, we need your help. Please lower your screens, we are almost there. The Kindword lowered nothing. It did not need to. It had no screens to lower. Hooks latched, clamps bit. Pirates laughed at the red cross on the door. They cut into the hull and stepped through, guns high. The Kindword smiled back with air, foam, and light. Vents hissed. A sweet mist bloomed. It smelled like mint and sleep. The floor flowed and climbed like a soft tide. Doors shut like eyelids. The pirates coughed. One shouted to cut the valves. Another slipped and fell and laughed like a drunk man, then hit the foam and stuck, arms out like a child on a glue wall. Back, back, a voice shouted. Too late, the air grew heavy. The lights went low and then bright and then low again, a slow pulse that pushed eyes to close. On the big ship behind, the leader watched his boarder's cams turn into gray fog. He swore. He ordered the flagship to move closer and burn that toy open. Gray saw the flagship roll forward like a black whale. He pointed to the screen. There, he said. The wolves' ship slid along the shadow of the dead cargo hulk. Silent as breath, it drifted until the flagship filled the view. Its hull had no marks. No flags, no trophies. Only a small white dot by a maintenance hatch like the dot on the data stick. Mara's drop light turned green. Gray's voice was quiet. Remember the rules. Speak the oath, stun when you can. Keep your hands steady. He switched to open channel. His voice went out into the hush corridor. We are medics under the oath. Lay down arms and you will live. Touch a medic and you will not. The flagship did not answer with words. It answered with a flash as it spun up its jammers. Gray lowered his hand. Pods, he said. The wolves fired. The boarding pods were small and dark and fast. They crossed the gap like thrown nails. They struck the flagship's skin and bit deep with hot teeth. Doors blew. Harpoons locked. Lines sang. Mara's stomach lifted as her pod hit. The metal screamed. The hatch blew. Cold air tore at her suit. Her boots clamped to the deck. She followed Gray into a narrow hall that smelled like old paper and cold tea. The floor shone. Her visor showed blue dots, friendly, moving like a net through the ship. Red dots, hostile, woke and flickered. The ship was a maze of clean lines and locked doors. Somewhere inside, a map waited. Somewhere inside, someone breathed who did not want to be found. A soft chime sounded in Mara's ear. The analyst whispered, "I have a signal." "It is not a weapon. It is a medical beacon." Very faint, deep inside. Gray looked down the long, quiet corridor. Lights glowed white. Cameras turned like eyes. The ship seemed to hold its breath. "Find that beacon," Gray said. A door at the end of the hall slid open without sound. 2 men in white gloves stood there. Their guns were black and neat. Their masks were smooth. They did not wear marks. The man on the left smiled with only his eyes. He lifted his weapon and aimed for the red patch on Gray's chest as if he wanted to stain it. Mara's finger found her trigger. Her breath slowed. Her hands were steady. Cliffhanger. Far in the flagship's core, a small room with no windows and 1 table holds a single med tag on a chain. It blinks once, twice, then steady. The tag is Dr. Lena's. The timer under it starts to count down. 2 men in white gloves faced Gray and Mara. Their guns were steady. Their boots made no sound on the clean floor. Gray spoke first. His voice was calm. "We are medics under the oath. Lay down arms and you live." The man on the left smiled with his eyes. He fired. Mara moved faster than her fear. She aimed low and shot a stun round. It hit the shooter's wrist. His gun flew. The other man swung to fire at her patch. Gray's shot hit the weapon mid-barrel. Sparks. The gun died. The man froze, shocked that anyone would shoot a gun and not a chest. "On the ground," Gray said. The 2 men dropped to their knees. Mara crossed the hall in 3 steps. She kicked the loose gun away, cuffed both men with flex ties, and checked their pulses out of habit. Strong. Afraid. Alive. She taped a blue strip to their sleeves. Surrendered. The oath demanded care, even for enemies. A chime sounded in Mara's ear. The analyst whispered, "That faint medical beacon is close. But listen, there is a timer with it." Gray's eyes met Mara's. "Trap," he said. They moved. The flagship's halls were narrow and white. Cameras watched. Doors opened just before they reached them, like the ship wanted to help and wanted to show it could. Wolves spread in pairs, step by step, covering corners, tagging rooms with small lights, green if clear, amber if unknown, red if hostile. At a T-junction, a burst of fire chewed a wall. The shooter aimed for the red patches. The wolves aimed for hands. 2 stuns. 2 men fell. A third rushed with a knife. Mara sidestepped, hooked his arm, dropped him, and taped his knife hand so he could not hurt himself when he woke. She felt her breath slow and steady. Her hands stayed steady. She checked her scissors on her sleeve like touching a promise. The beacon grew louder in her ear. They reached a door marked Archive, Medical. It slid open. Inside sat a small table. On the table lay a med tag on a chain. Dr. Lena's tag. The tag blinked, 1, 2, steady. Under it, a neat device counted down from 120. The numbers were thin and white, like the gloves. Kemi, the wolf engineer, leaned in. "Core charge," she said. "Clean casing. Built to leave no mess. They wanted this to look like mercy." "Can we disarm?" Gray asked. Kemi shook her head once. "Not with time left. 90 seconds now." She pointed to a rail on the wall. "There's a maintenance mag line from here to a trash lock on the outer skin. If we mount the charge, we can ride the rail and kick it into space. But," she glanced at the corridor map, "hostiles between here and the lock." Gray split the team in one breath. "Kemi, Mara with me for the charge. 2 pairs forward, find the cells. Lift who you can. No fire near prisoners. If anyone surrenders, mark and move. Analyst, keep doors in our favor." "Copy," the analyst said. Doors along their path turned green like quiet eyes. They pulled the charge from the table. It was the size of a lunchbox. It ticked like a soft clock. Kemi strapped it to the mag sled, a flat plate that hummed when she tapped it. She locked her boots to the floor track. Mara did the same behind her. Gray took rear guard. They pushed off. The sled slid along the rail with a dry whisper. Lights strobed. The timer dropped to 70. A bulkhead irised open. 2 white-gloved men waited. One lifted a rifle, aiming for the box in Kemi's hands. Mara was faster. She hit his elbow with a stun. The rifle spat once into the ceiling, harmless, then fell. Gray shot the other man's knee guard with a punch round. He dropped howling, but alive. Mara taped a surrender strip as they slid past. 50 seconds, Kemi said. A door ahead refused to open. The analyst cursed for the first time. Manual lock. Kemi saw the hand crank and paled. Not in time. Gray leaned past her and fired a shaped microcharge at the hinge, small, exact, the kind that cuts metal but not air. The door jumped, bent, and opened 2 hands' width. The sled scraped through. Mara exhaled as the box cleared. 35 seconds, a last turn. Ahead, the trash lock. Beyond it, space. A shield shimmered like hot air, holding vacuum back. 3 pirates stood at the lock, masks on, rifles up. Behind their visors, their eyes were wide. They saw the box. They guessed what it was. They did not lower guns. Gray spoke on open channel. Lay down arms, live. 1 man fired. Kemi threw herself flat and hugged the box. The round sparked off the rail. Mara fired 2 stuns. 2 men fell. The third ran forward, not to fight but to grab the box. Mara met him with her shoulder. They hit hard. Her helmet rang. She saw stars inside of stars. She tasted blood. The pirate clawed at the box like a child reaching for a toy. He could not see what it was. He only had orders, stop the wolves. Gray stepped in. 1 punch. The pirate sagged. Gray caught him by the collar so his head would not crack on the floor. He eased the man down and taped his wrist. He was not gentle, but he was kind. 15 seconds, Kemi said. They reached the lock. Kemi slapped the control. The inner door opened. The shield shimmered. Cold air rushed past them toward the black. 10, Kemi said. Mara and Gray lifted the box together. Kemi set the sled to max and pointed it like an arrow. 8. Go, Gray said. They shoved the box into the lock and kicked the sled with their boots. It slid like soap. It crossed the threshold. 7. Kemi hit the outer release. The shield dropped to a hairline. The sled shot out into space. 6. The shield snapped back up. 5. 2. The ship shuddered. Light flashed beyond the shield, far enough. The charge bloomed in the dark like a white flower and died. The shockwave hit the hull and rolled around it. The wolves bent their knees and took it like surfers taking a wave. Silence returned. The timer was gone. The tag on the table, Dr. Lena's tag, lay on Kemi's palm. It was warm. It had been used to bait them. Cells, Gray said. Now. They ran. On the lower deck, 2 wolves had already found the holding block. The hall was clean. The doors were numbered in thin letters. Inside one cell, 3 human nurses huddled under a foil blanket. In another, a surgeon with a broken finger held his hand close and tried to look strong. In a third, a thin alien with 4 arms sat upright, back straight, eyes clear. He wore a field medic band, old and faded. I did not help them, the alien said at once, seeing the patches. His voice was calm and dry. They asked. I refused. They hit me. That was all. We believe you, Mara said, already opening the door. She checked his pupils with a light. Normal. She pressed a heat pack to his wrist. I am Thas, he said. I will help you carry. Mara smiled with one side of her mouth. Deal. They moved fast, quiet, exact. Oxygen masks. Heat blankets. Flex ties cut. Wounds wrapped. A nurse cried once and then stopped, biting her lip as if to hold the sound in. Mara touched her shoulder. You are safe, she said. She meant it. She wanted it to be true already. A small sound came from the end cell. A child. Green skin, gills. The same child from the Samaritan dawn. Alive. Thin. Her eyes were huge. Mara's throat closed. She lifted the child and felt bones like twigs. The child pressed her face to Mara's patch and did not let go. Jammers still up, the analyst said in their ears. But we own the doors now. Exit path green. Gray spoke on open channel again. We are leaving with medics and patients. Stand down and you live, some pirates did. They slid weapons away and lay on their bellies, hands open. Wolves marked them blue. Others tried to fight and met stun and tape. One man pointed a pistol at a nurse's back. Gray's shot took the pistol into the wall and left the man with ringing ears and a story he would tell in a soft voice later, if he learned anything. In the port hangar, the wolves' pods waited like black seeds. Kemi set a beacon for any last rescued. Das helped a wounded surgeon into a seat and strapped him in with careful hands. Mara placed the child on a pod bench and fixed the child-sized mask she had added earlier. The child's eyelids fluttered. The green skin warmed from gray to soft mint. Mara's chest hurt and felt good at the same time. Gray held up Dr. Lena's tag. "Where is she?" he asked the rescued. A nurse lifted a shaking hand. "They moved her to a room with white walls and a window with no outside," she said. "They called it observation." The analyst spoke. "I have a room like that on the map. 1 deck up, 2 corridors over. Cameras are dark there." Gray looked at the rescued. He looked at the pods. He looked at the clock in his head. The archivist might have more traps. He always had more traps. "Take them out," he told Kemi. "Mara, with me." Kemi nodded and launched the first pod. It slid into space and latched onto the wolves' ship like a drop of water. The rest lined up. In and out. In and out. A steady breath, Gray and Mara ran. The observation room had 1 door and no guards. That was wrong. Gray pressed flat to the wall, breathed once, and cracked the door. White. A chair. A glass panel that showed only light. In the chair sat Dr. Lena. Her hands were tied. Her eyes were open and clear. She looked at Gray and Mara as if she had expected them. "Late," she said, and smiled with tired lips. Mara cut the ties with her scissors. The sound was small and bright. Dr. Lena stood on shaky legs. Mara put her arm under the doctor's arm. The doctor did not weigh much. An alarm woke deep and heavy. The archivist had seen enough. The flagship began to hum like a hive. "Self-destruct?" Mara asked. The analyst answered, voice thin. "No, not yet. He's purging records." "Not all," Gray said. He pointed to a neat slot in the wall. A data shard waited like a white tooth. He pulled it, slid it into a pouch, and sealed it. They ran for the last pod. Behind them, the clean floors stayed clean. That was the archivist's pride. That was his tell. He wanted no mess even when he lost. Pods launched. The wolves' ship pulled away, engines low to avoid stressing wounded bodies. In the medbay, Thas and Kemi worked side by side. The child slept with a soft hiss in the mask. The surgeon's broken finger was splinted. The 3 nurses drank warm water like it was gold. Gray stood over the data table. He slotted the shard. Orders appeared on the screen, thin and neat. Cleanse medical ships. Remove marks. Take surgeons. Leave no proof. Then a new message cut across the feed. A voice like cold tea filled the room. "If healers choose to be weapons," the archivist said, soft and pleased, "I will burn the hospitals." A map lit the screen. Red points bloomed across small worlds. Clinics, refugee docks, quiet stations with long benches and handprints high on the wall. Mara felt the same hurt in her chest again. She looked at Gray. He did not raise his voice. "Then we will stand at every door," he said. "And we will not move." Cliffhanger. The red points begin to flash in sequence, a schedule. The first strike is set for 12 minutes from now, in a dead star system full of wrecks at a nameless station that turns once every 12 minutes like a slow clock. The wolves change course. The countdown starts again. The wolves did not vanish after the rescue. They did something louder and deeper. They spoke. From Earth, a clean voice went out on every band. It crossed trade lanes and backwater holes. It hit pirate dens and temple towers. It reached anyone with a working speaker. "This is the oath," the voice said. "Medics are sacred. If you hunt healers, we hunt you. Lay down arms and live. Help a healer and be protected. This message is recorded and saved. Trials will use it." Proof followed. Not rage. Proof. Thin orders taken from the archivist's shard. Dates. Payments. Routes. Faces. The screen did not shout. It showed facts like a steady hand shows a wound and then stitches it shut. Then Earth lit a second signal. The sanctuary list. Names scrolled. Ships. Shell companies. Do not hire these crews. Do not shelter these captains. Turn them in and you will get mercy and money. Any world that marks clinics as safe zones will get medical ships, guards, and supplies. The list spread like fire that did not burn. Fire that warmed. On a dust bar named Needle's Rest, pirates fell silent as the message played. A young raider named Reed remembered a human nurse who had stopped his mother's bleeding once with warm hands and a soft voice. He slid a small slate across the table to the bar's old comm box. On it he wrote, Archivist supply cache under the cold ridge, Chalk 5's far side. He pressed send. He did not tell his crew. On a small moon with blue grass, a child painted a red patch with a broken chain on a school wall. Her teacher did not stop her. The teacher took a picture and taped it by the clinic door. The wolves moved while the words moved. They did not bomb. They cut fuel lines, bribe lines, message lines. They found a factory that printed fake med flags to hide slavers. They walked in, spoke the oath, and when men shot anyway, they shot hands and knees, not hearts. They taped blue strips to sleeves that surrendered and left them water and a doctor. They took the machines apart with careful wrenches, not flame. They took the proof. At Spindle Key, they caught a cleaner team on hands and knees, scrubbing a clinic floor where a nurse had once danced with children. Gray did not shout. He pointed to the high handprint still faint on the wall. "Leave it," he said. "Remember this room as it was." They cuffed the cleaners, marked them, and moved on. They seeded sanctuary beacons across ports and clinic yards. Each beacon spoke on a local band. "This is a med ground. Weapons off." If anyone fired in that circle, the beacon triggered foam and mild shock, enough to drop a bull but not stop a heart. The beacons also recorded every face, every weapon, every first move. Truth is a shield when liars shout. A council formed that same week, fast by council standards. Human doctors, alien healers, ship captains who had ferried sick kids for free. They met not in a shining hall, but in a working med bay that smelled of iodine and warm bread. They wrote the Sanctuary Pact in simple words. "We care for all who surrender. We do not use clinics to hide guns. We will defend the patch when others will not. Trials for those who break the shield." They signed one by one. Thas, the four-armed field medic, pressed a clean palm in blue ink and set it under the words. Dr. Lena signed with a bandaged hand. Gray did not sign at first. He stood at the edge, eyes on the door, as if the archivist could walk in if they looked away. He signed last. The archivist did not stay silent. He spoke in return on a clear line, calm as a knife. "If healers choose to be weapons," he said, his voice like cold tea, "then hospitals are barracks. I will teach the galaxy to fear your red patch." Screens flickered. A map lit up with red points. Small worlds, clinic barges, charity docks. A schedule scrolled under the points. 12 minutes 30, 1 hour 2. The plan was not chaos. It was a list. Mara's hands curled into fists as she watched the dots bloom like disease. Gray did not clench his fists. He looked at the movement under the dots. Ships, fuel, jumps. He looked for the hand inside the map. He found it. "He wants crowds," Gray said. "He wants panic. He wants us to break our rules in the rush so he can show the oath is a lie." Kemi pointed at one dot that flashed faster than the rest. "That one is the Dead Star system. Wreck field, nameless station that turns every 12 minutes. First strike?" Gray nodded as if he had been waiting to hear the words spoken out loud. "We choose that door," he said. "We stand there first, but they could not be only at one door. Clinics would burn while they fought in the graveyard. The archivist counted on that. So the wolves changed how they fought. They split into waves. Not just wolves. Volunteers stood up. Some were ex-raiders who had never hurt a healer. Some were smugglers who had been saved by a med boat once and never forgot how the oxygen mask felt in their shaking hands. Some were station guards with old rifles and clear eyes. "We cannot give you wolf armor," Gray told them, "but we can give you rules." He shared the oath guard list. "Show the patch. Talk first. Stun first. Record. No hitting near a bed. If you are scared, say it. Another will step in." He sent medkits with them. He sent beacons. He sent truth recorders that could not be erased by cleaners. He sent names to call when a door would not open. He sent the promise. "If you stand with the patch, we stand with you." The archivist twisted back. He spread lies. Fast messages flashed through dirty channels. Wolves steal kids for tests. Human medics carry plague. If you let them land, your crops will die. The wolves did not answer with insults. They answered with pictures. A child with green skin breathing easier. A pirate with his hand stitched by a wolf he tried to shoot. A cleaner with foam on his boots and a blue strip on his sleeve. Alive, given water, breathing. A station boss named Elna watched both streams. She was old. She remembered a winter when human doctors had brought heaters and dried soup to her ring. She lifted her station's old med flag and set it on the highest antenna. She keyed her beacon to public. Sanctuary here. Her crews took positions on the railings. She did not call for war. She called for order. Across the line, a pirate lord called Silkcut sent a private note to Gray. It was short. We never touched medships. The archivist pays me to fuel his. I am done. Tell me where to point my guns. Gray did not trust him. The wolves do not bet on easy, but he gave Silkcut one soft task. Escort 2 aid barges through the hush corridor. Record everything. Do not shoot first. If anyone fires at you near the red patch, disable and tag. Bring the crews in blue, not black. Silkcut did it. He did not become a hero. He became useful. The beacons began to earn their cost the same day. On an iron dock named Turntable, a gang tried to storm a clinic. The beacon flashed. Foam climbed their legs. Shocks buzzed. They fell, yelling, angry, alive. The clinic doors stayed closed. A wolf team arrived 3 minutes later. They gave water. They wrapped sprains. They took guns and gave receipts. Trials would need receipts. The archivist found a way to hurt even that. He stole a beacon. On a slick feed, he showed the stolen device on a white table. He took it apart with neat hands. He fitted new insides. He smiled without showing teeth. Your shield is now my knife, he said. He sent the beacon back into the world with a clean case and a small, hidden charge that would not scar walls but would break bones in a circle like a ring of hammers. He wanted a clinic to trust it. He wanted a child to stand near it. He wanted the wolves to blame themselves. The analyst caught one of the fakes before it reached a port. She found a heat signature too sharp for a recorder. She shouted down a line. A guard on a sleepy dock heard her and stopped a parcel with one hand. He placed it in a sand bin and it thumped once, angry, and died. Good catch, Gray said. He did not smile. He moved a marker on the map and wrote fake beacons, watch in block letters. He sent the warning everywhere. If a beacon arrives without a serial from us, do not deploy. Wait for a wolf to test it. The archivist responded at once, bored voice sharp around the edges. You play defense everywhere, he said on open band. You stand at every door, but you leave your window open. A new red point blinked on the map. The Dead Star system. The nameless station. The one that turned like a slow clock. The window. 12 minutes, the wolves did not shout. They moved. Wave 1, hold clinics and docks, Gray said. Wave 2, escort. Wave 3, with me. Dr. Lena walked into the bay with a bandage still around her wrist. I am coming, she said. Gray looked at her for one slow breath. He nodded. You are our voice, he said. Not on the front line. On the channel. You speak to anyone who puts a gun down. You keep them alive. Mara checked her kit. Extra tourniquets. Child mask. Pain spray. She touched the red patch on her chest and then the small scissors. She remembered the old man in the green scarf asking them to bring back the ones who could sing. Kemi shouldered her tools. Lass took a bag with 4 handles and no fear. The old woman with the scar stood by the door. Remember, she said, we do not go to kill. We go to stop killing. We go to end a hunt. The hangar lights snapped to ready. Dropships rolled like pills. Across space, allies woke, a mining tug that could pull a cruiser sideways. A patrol cutter with a crew who once hated humans and now trusted them more than their old boss. A tiny school bus ship with a med cross and kids inside learning to count. Its pilot cried and then flew anyway, because fear can be honest and brave at the same time. On a quiet desk far away, the archivist set down his tea. He put on white gloves. He told his fleets to set jammers, to hide behind clinic hulls, to fire only when cameras were on. He wanted the wolves to look like monsters when the film played later. Gray keyed the all-channel one last time before the jump. His voice was soft and plain. We heal first. We hunt only those who hunt healers. If you stand down, you live. If you touch a medic, you do not. He cut the line. He lifted his hand. Begin, he said. Cliffhanger. The stars around the dead system open like cold eyes. Wrecks drift in a ring. The nameless station turns once, twice like a slow clock. Red points bloom into ships. Jammers wake. In the dark, a stolen beacon blinks near a clinic hull. It is either a shield or a knife. The wolves drop from jump, silent, exact, and the countdown hits 0:12. The wolves drop from jump into dark. The dead star sat like a punched-out eye. Around it, wrecks turned slow. Plates scraped plates with no sound. A nameless station spun once every 12 minutes like a quiet clock. Its windows were black. Its hull wore old paint, clinic in faded letters. Jammers woke at once. Static climbed the bands like ice on glass. Jammers high, the analyst said. No clean calls. Gray's voice stayed calm. We planned for noise. A stolen beacon blinked near the clinic hull. Same shape, same soft light. It might be a shield. It might be a knife. Kemi looked at the heat readouts. Too warm, she said. It smells wrong. Test, Gray said. Kemi launched a small pod no bigger than a backpack. It snapped open like a flower and wrapped the beacon in a clear shell, her sand bin for space. A strip lit green, isolated. She pinged the shell with a pulse. The fake beacon kicked once like a trapped animal and went dead. Knife, Kemi said. Good catch. Record it, Gray said. Send the proof to every port. Dr. Lena keyed the open channel. Her voice went out like a hand. This is the oath, she said. Med ground marked. Weapons off. Lay down arms and you live. The nameless station did not answer. Merc ships slid from shadow. They were thin and black, hiding behind clinic hulls like cowards behind a child. The archivist spoke on a clean band only he could make clean. Film is rolling, he said, soft and pleased. Let us show the galaxy what your medics do. He wanted them to fire near the word clinic. He wanted the lie. Gray's reply was simple. We do not shoot near beds. He raised his hand. The wolves moved. They did not rush. They shaped the field. A mining tug named Gull hooked its grav clamp to the Merc flagship and pulled. The big ship slid sideways toward a rusted hulk and stuck there. Engines whining, guns pointed the wrong way. A patrol cutter tipped a raid corvette with a gentle push so its shots would miss the clinic by miles. Mirror kites, Kemi said. They threw flat panels into the dark. The panels drifted and bent the jammer waves back on the pirates. Cameras went blind. The archivist's clean band began to hiss. He laughed anyway. You have only moved pieces, he said. Good, Gray said. Now we move people. Wolves in drop suits fired quiet nets. The nets bloomed like silver weeds. They wrapped around gun turrets and locked them in sleep. They hugged thrusters and made engines spin free with no push, no fire, no holes, only stillness. On the station rim, a gang tried to rush the clinic hatch. The sanctuary beacon at the door flashed. Foam climbed their legs like vines. Soft shocks buzzed. They fell cursing, alive. Oath guards, volunteers with clear eyes, stepped out with blue tape and water. Drop the knives, an old dockhand said. Hands open. They obeyed without quite knowing why. Silkcut, the ex-pirate, eased 2 aid barges through the wrecks like a man guiding fragile glass. He kept his guns cold. He kept his camera on. He recorded a Merc pilot firing at a red patch. He recorded his own voice. Don't. Med ground. He did not shoot. He flicked a lever. His barge threw soft foam into the firing slit. The gun choked and died. Good, Gray said. He did not praise more than one word. Silkcut smiled anyway, small and strange on his hard face. Inside the station, doors were wrong. Some were welded. Some were under new paint. Bess ran gloved fingers along a vent and frowned. They will try a fire purge, he said. They will send heat through the ducts and call it cleaning. Mara's mouth went dry. She remembered the freezer with empty trays and the neat screws. Not today, she said. Kemi broke open canisters of vine foam. They slid hoses into vents and filled them with foam that hardened when hot air touched it, making safe plugs like honey and comb. Wolves marked vents blue sealed. Air holds, the analyst said, reading the numbers. Clinic safe. The archivist felt the block and changed the game. He ordered his mercs to line up behind clinic hulls and fire only when the wolves were close. He wanted their suits to reflect on the white walls. He wanted a frame he could cut later. Gray watched the drift of ships like a doctor watching a bleeding. He lifted 2 fingers. Thread. Wolves threaded the wrecks in single lines, bodies close to broken plates and dead cables. They moved where cameras could not see. They crossed gaps under shards that cast shadow. They came up under the Merc guns and touched barrels with stunners, metal to metal, and the guns fell asleep like animals in winter. A Merc saw Mara's red patch and fired wild. The round hit a wall. Mara slid under his arm, turned him and smacked a strip of blue tape on his sleeve. He stared at it, shocked. She lifted his hand to his own chest so he could feel his heart. You live, she said, and moved on. On the far side, the gull strained. Its clamp groaned. The Merc flagship tried to tear free. Gray called a second tug, a school bus ship with kids learning to count in the back seats. The pilot wiped her eyes and held her line. "We hold you," Gray told her. "We hold," she said, voice thick. Dr. Lena kept speaking on the open band. She did not beg. She told people how to stop bleeding. She told them to put guns down by feet, not by hands. She told them to breathe slow and feel for the pulse at the neck. Her voice made the field feel like a med bay. The archivist's voice cut across once more. "You are busy at the door. The window is open." A new light blinked in the station map. The archive medical room. The same room where they had found Dr. Lena's tag on the flagship. The same white walls. A small device inside counted down. It was not a bomb. It was a scrubber that would flood the room with hot solvent. It would leave no mess. It would leave no proof. "On me," Gray said. Mara, Kemi, and Thas followed. They cut through a service tube and slid along a cable like beads on a string. Mara's arms shook, not from fear but from holding the kit tight. She thought of the old man with the green scarf. She thought of the child's handprint high on the wall no cleaner could scrub away. They reached the white door. It was very clean. Kemi popped the panel. Wires neat as hair combed back. "He hates mess," she said, and yanked the wrong wire on purpose. Lights flickered. The lock tried to close and opened wider by mistake. Inside, the scrubber counted down from 20. Small, neat numbers. A med tag lay on the table again. Another trap for the eye. Das reached the scrubber with 4 hands moving like one. He wrapped it in cloth soaked in cold gel. He pulled the heart out with 2 fingers, turned it off, and held it up. "Done," he said, simple as filling a cup. Mara grabbed the empty chair and flipped it for no reason but to see a clean thing not be neat. It hit the floor and made a mark. She felt better. "Archivist coming in hot," the analyst said. "His personal corvette is moving from shadow. It is like a knife under silk. I have only a silhouette. He was here." "Seal the outer ring," Gray said. "We cut his exits. Oath guards on the rim laid out rope mines, light lines that float and jam stealth skins. The lines glittered like spider silk. They looked gentle. They were not. The corvette slid through the wrecks, black on black, silent as a whisper. It kissed 3 mines and kept coming. A 4th wrapped its nose like a leash. It shivered, lost cloak, and showed itself. A clean hull with no marks, only a thin white line like a smile. He drove straight for the station hangar with the clinic paint. He wanted to force a fight in the frame he picked. Gray did not follow him into that frame. He moved first. "Mirror kites in the hangar," he said. Panels dropped from the ceiling as the Corvette slid in. They did not hit the hull. They slid beside it and threw its own jammers back inside. The Corvette's cameras went blind. Its doors auto-opened for air it did not need, then stuck that way. "Pods," Gray said. The Wolves' pods hit the hangar floor and bit. Foam nets blossomed under their boots to keep ricochets from bouncing into clinic walls. Kemi sprayed quiet paint on the Corvette's vents. Engines coughed and went still. Das placed a blue strip on a pilot's sleeve the second the man's hands rose. Mara saw a man in white gloves step from the Corvette's side hatch. No mask, clean smile, pale eyes, he carried no visible gun. He carried a small remote like a silver breath in his palm. The archivist. He saw the red patch on Mara's chest. His smile widened a little. "You bring a child to hunt wolves," he said. "How modern." Mara raised her rifle, steady. The stethoscope around her neck brushed her armor and made a small reel sound. Gray spoke first, not loud. "We are medics under the oath. Lay down arms and live." The archivist lifted the remote between 2 fingers like a card trick. "Look," he said softly. "One touch and the clinic behind you vents to fire. Your film will be perfect." Kemi had already foamed the vents. Das had already cut the scrubbers. But the button could do something else. The archivist loved else. Mara's breath slowed. She saw his gloves. She saw the thing he loved most, control without mess. She aimed not at his chest. She aimed at the remote. "Hands open," she said. He shrugged and pressed. Showers opened above him. Foam fell like snow. Kemi whispered, almost laughing. "I rewired the hangar. Your button is my button now." Foam covered the archivist up to his waist in 1 second. He was neat even then. He kept his chin up so it did not touch his collar. "All cameras on," he said through foam, voice thin. He wanted someone else's film now. Every camera was on. They showed him stuck in clean foam, unhurt, eyes cold. They showed wolves with guns down and hands ready to treat. You are under arrest for breaking the oath, Gray said. You will have a trial. You will hear every name you broke. The archivist blinked slower. Trials are stories for people who need sleep, he said. I do not sleep. He pressed his free thumb to his palm. A second signal went out. Far away, a backup plan woke. Small charges on 3 docks set to blow legs out from under clinics. No fire, just fall. He wanted pain without smoke. He wanted order to look weak. Charges on docks. The analyst shouted. 3 sites. Wave 1, Gray asked. On site, Dr. Lena answered. We are there. On the feeds, oath guards at those docks moved with the wolves' rules. They showed patches. They cleared benches. They threw sand bins over small boxes that hummed. They set foam. They cut one wrong wire on purpose to make the lock open wider. They lifted kids. They did not run. The charges thumped once, angry, and died. The archivist watched the screens in the hangar. For the first time, his eyes moved too fast. He was counting. He was missing numbers. I will not wear a chain, he said. You already do, Mara said, quiet. It's foam. He smiled with only a lip. Foam cuts. He pulled one hand free, slick with white. Mara took a half step in. Her rifle stayed steady. Her other hand lifted, palm open like a medic going in to stop bleeding. Do not, the archivist said, soft and mean. His free hand darted under the foam. A thin blade flashed like a clean thought. Mara's stethoscope swung. The metal disc rang like a coin. She did not flinch. Hands where I can see, she said, or I cut your toys off with these. She tapped her little scissors with one finger. A joke with steel inside. Behind her, the Corvette growled low. Self-destruct arming or show? Kemi's fingers flew over a panel. Thas held a pressure patch ready for a wound that did not exist yet but could in one blink. Gray's voice did not rise. This ends now, no deaths. No fire near beds. The archivist's blade stopped moving. He looked at Mara as if trying to fit her into a tidy frame. He could not. From the clinic hall behind them, a small sound came, like a child clearing a throat. The green-skinned girl from the rescue stepped into the hangar doorway, mask off now, eyes clear. She held a red patch in 2 hands like a book. Dr. Lena's shadow fell across her, ready to pull her back if she had to. The archivist saw the child, the patch, the cameras, the foam, the quiet wolves. He breathed in once through his nose, long and slow, as if to smell what fear belonged to whom. Cliffhanger. The Corvette's core alarm climbs from a whisper to a keen. A light on Kemi's panel flips from amber to red. Self-react, 15 seconds. The hangar doors lock. The foam hardens around the archivist's legs like stone. Mara stands 1 step away, stethoscope at her throat. Rifle steady, scissors bright. Gray says only one word, decide. The alarm climbed. Red light pulsed. Self-react, 15 seconds. Gray did not shout. Decide, he said. Kemi's hands flew over the panel. Core is hot, she said. Doors are locked. No vent. Thas opened a side hatch with 2 quick twists. Cold pipes hissed. Dr. Lena pulled the green-skinned child back behind the clinic line. With me, she said, calm and warm. Breathe. The archivist stood in hard foam to his waist. A thin blade glinted in one clean hand. He watched the timer like it was a clock he owned. 4 things, Gray said, fast and flat. He pointed as he spoke. Kemi, drown the heat. Thus open the cryo feed. Lena, clear the hall. Mara, he looked at her. Hands on him. If he moves, he sleeps. Mara stepped in. Her rifle stayed steady. Her other hand lifted her little scissors. Hands open, she told the archivist. Now he smiled. He did not obey. Seconds. Kemi ripped down a panel and jammed a line into the Corvette's belly. Foam is cold, she said. But not enough. Thas tore the blue cap off a cryo main and took the bite of the cold with all 4 hands. Frost climbed his sleeves. He did not let go. Mara pressed her stethoscope to the hull. An old habit, a strange idea, but she heard it. A quick, hard thrum, like a bad heart. She saw a small inspection port with 2 tiny screws, neat as teeth. She flipped the screws with the tip of her scissors and found a silver wire under glass. The wire pulsed in time with the thrum. Pacemaker, she said, for the core. Seconds. Cut it, Gray said. The archivist's eyes flicked to the port. He moved his blade up for her wrist. He hoped to nick, not kill. He liked neat pain. Mara hit foam with her knee, slid in, and pinned his blade hand with her forearm. The stethoscope disc rang once against his sleeve, a small bright sound. With her free hand, she slid the scissors into the port and snipped the wire. Seconds. The thrum staggered. Kemi yelled, "Flood!" She opened the cryo-line all the way. White fog rolled like a winter river into the Corvette's core. Bass twisted a valve shut with 2 hands and held another open with the other 2. Frost bit his palms. He smiled with his eyes. "Hold," he said, at 2. Frosty alarm froze at 1 and turned amber. The keen fell to a thin, angry hum. Kemi's shoulders dropped. "Core is cold," she said. "Locked." Bass let out a long breath that turned to fog in his face mask. "Done." Mara pulled the blade from the archivist's hand and tossed it behind her into a sand bin. The archivist did not curse. He looked at Mara, at the scissors, at the stethoscope. "You do not play the game," he said, voice soft. "You move the table. You move people," Mara said. "We move them back." Dr. Lena stepped forward. She checked the child's pulse. Steady. She looked at the man in foam. "You are alive," she told him. "You will stay that way. That is our rule." The archivist's jaw tightened. He opened his mouth as if to bite the inside of his cheek. "Poison?" "Old spy trick, tongue," Mara said, already there with a light. She caught the telltale shine of a tooth ampule. Kemi pressed a little tool to his jaw. The ampule popped free into a trap cup. Das poured gel on it. It hissed and died. "You will not leave by death," Gray said. "You leave by trial." They pulled the foam back from his legs. They left his wrists bound in clean tape. Wolves led him to a chair with straps. They did not hit him. They did not spit. They did not speak hate. They did their jobs. News moved faster than ships. Cameras showed the hangar. They showed the cold flood. They showed the foam, the scissors, the stethoscope. They showed the child safe, holding a red patch like a book. Across ports and rings, the line went quiet. Then it filled with a new sound. People breathing out. The trial was not held in a palace. It was held in a working medbay that smelled of iodine and warm bread. The windows showed a busy dock. Outside, oath guards walked in pairs with blue tape and steady eyes. 3 judges sat at a simple table. A human doctor with tired hands, an alien surgeon with silver scales, and a station nurse who had delivered babies in a quake with no light. Each had a red patch on one shoulder and the sanctuary mark on the other. The archivist sat straight in his chair. He wore plain clothes, no gloves. He would not be allowed the lie of white. Victim spoke. A nurse from Spindle Key raised a hand that still shook and said, "He took our songs." A child from Turntable touched the place on her head where a bruise had been and whispered, "They told me to stand near the beacon." It made a loud sound. Then I was on the floor. This told how he had refused to help Merck's hurt patients and how they had broken one of his arms and he had kept working anyway with 3. He smiled when he said it. He did not brag. He simply put the truth on the table. Silk Cut stood too. His voice was rough. "I fueled his ships," he said. "I did not touch medics. That is not pride. That is luck. I am done choosing luck." He slid a slate with proof to the judges. He sat down. He did not ask for thanks. Evidence rolled like a steady tide. Dates, payments, clean orders with thin letters. Videos of cleaners scrubbing blood from drains and leaving the screws neat in the holes. The archivist spoke only once. "Order needs a hard edge," he said. "Mercy is a lie people used to sleep," Dr. Lena answered quiet. "Mercy is the reason you can speak at all." The judges did not vote in a back room. They wrote the sentence where everyone could see the words. Guilty of ordering attacks on medics and clinics. Guilty of faking beacons and traps that harm patients. Guilty of commerce with those who break the oath. Punishment, no death. No show, life and service. He would work in trauma wards under guard, with no tools to harm, only to help. He would clean bedpans. He would hold pressure on wounds. He would watch people live because others chose mercy for him. If he refused, he would sit in a cell with the names of the harmed on every wall until he chose to try again. He smiled, small and cold. "You think you will change me?" "No," Gray said. "We will change the world around you." The crowd did not roar. They breathed out again. The sanctuary pact went live the next dawn. Not on paper of silk. On walls and air. Clinics marked their doors with beacons that were tested in public. Oath guards trained in squares and rings with empty guns and open hands. The wolves shared videos. How to stop bleeding. How to talk a man down. How to record the truth when lies shout. Worlds signed one by one. The Pact's simple words traveled faster than any fleet. We care for all who surrender. We do not hide guns in clinics. We defend the patch. We will hold trials. Not mobs. A month later, a gang dragged a wounded friend to a clinic door and begged. We stand down. The door opened. They cried when the mask went on their friend's face. None of them had ever cried without fear before. They went quiet and held the stretcher and did not look at their own hands for once. At Spindle Key, the sign Mara had hung crooked stayed crooked. People left it so. They said it kept the room true. Children made new handprints high on the wall, painted in blue and laughing. Silk-Cut escorted aid barges through the hush corridor a third time. He did not touch his guns. He kept his camera on. He drank tea after and did not tell war stories. He watched kids count instead. The cleaner teams who had scrubbed floors now scrubbed waiting rooms in real clinics. They learned to scrub dirt, not proof. They learned to leave handprints high on purpose so scared kids could see them and reach. The archivist's Corvette sat in the hangar, quiet, under quiet paint. A school group went by on a tour. They looked with big eyes. A guide said, "This is a story about rules that bend for mercy, not for pride." The children nodded like they understood. Maybe they did. The Hippocratic Wolves did not set up thrones. They faded back to their cold halls under a frozen sea. They fixed broken gear. They wrote mistakes on a wall and signed under them. They slept. They checked kits. They trained volunteers, then sent them home to stand at doors. Mara stood in front of a mirror and sewed a small, neat red patch above her heart. The broken chain caught the light and went dark and caught the light again. Gray came up beside her and pinned a tiny metal charm under the patch. A stethoscope and a set of scissors crossed. "First, do no harm," he said. "Second, do not let harm pass," she smiled. "Third, bring them home," he said. Dr. Lena hung a new plaque on a bulkhead where alarms could be heard. The plaque said, "We heal. If you hunt healers, we hunt you." Under it, in small letters, another line. "Trials need truth. Record it." The green-skinned child walked the medbay hall with a little cart. She handed out warm packs and cups of sweet water. She wore a cloth patch she had painted herself. It was crooked and perfect. The nameless station no longer turned 12 minutes to a lie. It turned to a schedule of aid runs, clinic hours, and ferry times. The dead star still looked like a punched-out eye, but the ring around it had lights now. Small ones. Honest ones. On a quiet night, Gray stood at a viewport. He watched a small aid ship drift by, soft lamps on, a Red Cross clear. No mercs trailed it. No knife holes hid behind it. The ship moved like a steady breath. He did not smile much. He smiled then. Only a little. Mara came to stand with him. "Do we sleep now?" she asked. "For a while," he said. "Then someone will test the line again. And then? Then we wake," he said. "That is what we are for." He turned off the light in the bay. The stars were a little brighter for it. Far below those stars, in a clinic with warm bread and iodine in the air, a young nurse pinned on her red patch. She stepped into a room and washed her hands. A patient looked up, afraid, then calmed. He did not know the wolves watched. He did know this. He was safe to heal.